The day after the severe cyclone, the story is all about the miraculously low number of casualties. Well, 14 people are reported to have died, but thousands more have been saved. As we said, this was one of the largest ever evacuations carried out in India. More than 9 lakh people moved in Orissa and Andhra Pradesh in the last few days. This is very significant given the ferocity of the cyclone and the fear it had generated, especially among foreign meteorologists who are predicting absolutely the worst. The Indian Met Department's predictions for once was spot on.
Walking away from the destruction, holding on to their most precious belongings. Nearly 9 lakh people like this, 8 lakh of them in Odisha, shifted out of coastal areas and onto higher ground, miraculously safe. It's been India's biggest ever evacuation operation, with the state and the National Disaster Relief Force determined to minimize casualties, come hell or high water.
We have successfully evacuated almost 9 lakh people and minimized loss of human life during the cyclone. This is one of the largest evacuation operations in the entire country.
Even 18 fishermen who had ventured into the sea before the cyclone made landfall have been rescued.
जब पारादीप से आदमी हमारा निखोज हो गया था तो अभी रेस्क्यू किया गया, ये बड़ा खुशी का बात है.
Destruction, however, has been widespread. Huts, sheds, crops, plantations, trees, electricity poles uprooted by winds that gusted up to 240 kilometers an hour and then battered down by very heavy rain that lasted several hours.
सब नुकसान हो गया.
क्या सामान था अंदर?
सामान घर में सिलेंडर था, घरेलू पूरा सामान था. सिलेंडर था, गैस था, टीवी था, सब चीज ऐसे बर्बाद हो गया.
फिर अब आगे क्या करेंगे?
आगे क्या करेंगे? अभी ऐसे धीरे धीरे बनाएंगे मकान, क्या करेंगे?
कभी सुबह होगा. ये मैं तो चेस्ट तो पूरा बिल्कुल ये नहीं है. मेरे भी दोनों बच्चे सही पास, उन लोग के सेव करना, मैं से सेफ्टी रहना चाहिए ना.
The challenge now to get the two states back on their feet. The worst hit areas, Gunjam, Gopalpur in Orissa, and Kaviti and Ichhapuram in Andhra Pradesh.
This is how one has to make their way to their homes now in this part of Orissa, in Ganjam district. The villagers here tell us that the ocean's water has come in. This is in fact a pathway to the villages ahead, but it's all blocked now. I'll ask my camera person to just pan around and show you what this passage really now looks like. Very difficult for villagers to commute.
It's perhaps one of the most precious things anybody can own, and this lady right next to me, she has lost just that. Her husband had made this house with great difficulty, but what remains right now is an entire wall which has come down to ruins. She stands here extremely vulnerable, not knowing what to do in future. She has 3 children that she needs to take care of. She says she might just have to make some tea for everybody as a profession and to survive.
Over the next few hours, the storm is expected to dissipate as it moves north, passing through northern Odisha to Jharkhand and Bihar, areas that are already showing signs of things ahead. Bureau Report, NDTV.
And in just about half an hour, we will bring you in-depth, on-the-ground reports from our large team of reporters who are in the cyclone zone. Achal Bora in Behrampur, Sneha Mary Koshi in Kaviti in Srikakulam, Maya Sharma joins us from Visakhapatnam, Tejas Mehta is in Haldiapada near Behrampur, and Sudhiranjan Sen in Bhubaneswar, all of them coming up with ground reports live from the cyclone zone in just half an hour. But tonight on the program, we have Ajit Seth, Cabinet Secretary, Dr. L.S. Rathod, the Chief of the Indian Met Department, DG of the Met, and Sandeep Rai Rathod, the IG of the National Disaster Relief Force. I will come to you, gentlemen, in just a moment. But earlier, I spoke to the Orissa Chief Minister, Naveen Patnaik, who is also a newsmaker at 9. Mr. Patnaik, may I begin by congratulating you and your government for being able to minimize casualties and for carrying out what is to date India's largest evacuation operation. Now, hours before Cyclone Phailin was to hit, you told officials and the administration to ensure 0 casualties. Is Naveen Patnaik a relieved man tonight?
I am indeed, because our first priority is to save precious lives. So, in fact, 5 kilometers away from the coastline, we evacuated more than 9 lakh people. That's almost 1 million people in 36 hours. So our first priority was to save precious human lives, and to a huge extent, I think we have achieved that.
Now, Mr. Patnaik, the logistics of that, evacuating close to 9 lakh people in 2 days, must have been enormous. Just what did it entail exactly? How many agencies were involved? Were you, in fact, personally overseeing that process?
Indeed, I was. And as I told you, the people I've just thanked, which is our district administrations, in particular, the people's representatives from the sarpanches upwards, all these people were of tremendous help. I'd also like to thank the Army and Navy for standing by.
Mr. Patnaik, how difficult was it to ensure that no one got left behind? We heard a lot of stories about how people wanted to take their chances, in a sense, with the cyclone because they wanted to spend Durga Puja, which is such a big festival in the East, in their own homes.
It was indeed. I mean, some people needed a great deal of convincing, but finally they did come away.
Well, once the threat of the cyclone was known, your government acted with admirable speed.
No, in fact, if you see your television footage, you'll see the amount of damage that's been done along the coastline. I mean, this was, the cyclone speed was more than 200 kilometers. There's been a great deal of destruction done to the kacha houses where the cyclone did hit. So it was necessary for the people to be removed, otherwise there would have been many, many casualties. You do understand that in the cyclone which hit the state in 1999, more than 10,000 people died.
Well, I think that's an important comparison that you're making, Mr. Patnaik. Now, you came to power in 2000, soon after that super cyclone in 1999 had devastated Orissa. You've had an uninterrupted run since then. Do you believe that things have changed effectively between 1999 and now? Last time, the government had managed to evacuate just about 20,000 odd people.
They have indeed, because we've had a number of floods, etc., and we've learned from those mistakes that were made in 1999.
Well, what about the 9 lakh people who have been evacuated? How soon is it going to be safe for them to go back to their homes?
It's quite safe now, and a lot of them have started going back, and we are seeing to the relief materials, to their food, and of course their medical supplies.